there's a delay. Oh, there's a delay. Okay. Still no picture. Yeah, still no picture. But I'm going to copy this link and message it to myself. And then I want to see.
Do I have to give permission to have my video? Or is it just kind of taking whatever's on yours?
It's just taking whatever on mine.
Okay.
What have you done lately? Okay.
Ooh, yeah. What have you done for
It's
me
funny
lately?
they're not hearing us on there. The delay must be really long.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, here we
You
go.
know that I'm all that I deserve.
Yeah, there's no video.
You know it's the truth. You seem to
Oh yeah, but there's audio. Okay.
I was gonna say I can hear me now.
But now I'm gonna turn it off on mine. Just turn off YouTube and see if it still goes.
Okay. I was gonna say I can hear me now. Now I'm gonna turn it off on mine. Just turn off YouTube.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep talking just to hear me.
Okay. Black cat 9, life short days, long nights. Oh, I probably can't sing if it's. I can't sing if it's still if it's streaming on YouTube because then it's a copyright thing.
No, they only care about the actual publishing.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Okay. Now I'm going to announce it on Discord.
Okay.
Discord announcements. Joe. Okay. Announce. Oh. Drag Race Recap is live. Oh, go copy that link. Like, thank you. Wait. Is live on YouTube. Can't get the video to work. I don't know what that drama is. Can't get the video to work. But the... Oh, I know why the video is not working.
Okay.
Because this is an audio-only studio. I still
Okay.
tell them. I'm not going to tell them that. We'll just know that for next.
All right. I was going to say, do you want to go to the video?
No. So it's actually showing exactly what it's supposed to show.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just say there's some bugs to work out, but I figured it out. Okay. Can't get the video to work, but that will fix the... Okay. But the audio is streaming.
I couldn't tell you the last time I was on Discord.
You're not missing anything. It's dead. Can't get the video to work, but the audio is streaming. Listen live and comment in hashtag Drag Race Recap or in the... They have it now where it'll start there in the YouTube comments. I think we'll be able to see it in the chat as well, I think. But they're not seeing... I don't think they're seeing our chat. We're just seeing it, I think.
Okay.
Stop. Premium. Nope. Put and. At. Thank you. I went for my physical.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a prostate exam.
Mm-hmm.
And it was normal.
Good. Excellent.
Oh, it made me happy because literally, I called John Paul immediately after. Every time I go pee, Evil John will say, Joe has an enlarged prostate. For no reason. So I was like, you tell him it's normal.
What? Why would he say that?
He tells it to John Paul too, so I already told them. So now we're live officially. He tells John Paul this too, and John Paul, if you, in other words, the reason he said that is often like on the way to Palm Springs, I will drink a lot of water and have to pee when I get to their house, or we go to the movies and I drink a bunch of Coke Zeros and then I have to go pee a lot or something like that, and he'll always be like, "Oh, Joe has an enlarged prostate." What's funny is, it's my first ever prostate exam, and I was really expecting it to be so much more intense than it was.
Well, you were expecting Austin, what's his name, to come in and.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like
Austin Wolf
or Legrand Wolf.
Legrand Wolf.
Legrand Wolf come in and be like, no, girl, it was like a half a second, and it was like the finger was barely up there.
Oh yeah, it's not. I've had to have them. Like I had it's just a situation in the emergency room once where, which for some reason I still don't know why the guy was doing. Like I forget what the issue was that I was in, but he was like kind of wandering around, like sticking his finger up everybody's ass.
Oh really?
It was the doctor. Yeah. So oddly enough, I saw him with a mop and bucket later on. I don't know what that was about.
What? I don't get it.
Like he's the janitor. Like it was a joke. Like the emergency room.
Like
but
okay, what is the timestamp here? I have to look at it because we went live, but now I don't have the clean recording. We're gonna start in 15 seconds.
Okay. We have 4 watching.
Oh really? Wow, huge audience.
Oh, Mike Yeager. Oh, and he says he got to hear Taylor's rendition of Black Cat, which means he's been listening.
All right, here we go. Wait, stop.
Did I just
forgot
cough?
to pull a clip 0.
Okay.
Well, I could take out the cough. That's not a big deal because separate tracks. But I pulled I didn't pull a clip 0, so I'm just gonna leave space and I'm gonna put it in later. I already know what it is. I just forgot to pull it. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All-Star Season 9, Episode 10, titled Lip Sync Lollapalooza SmackDown. My name is Joe Batanz, and I am joined, as always, by one tight-lipped co-host. I couldn't think of a pun. From the podcast Pod is my co-pilot. Please say to Mr. Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor, the Latte Boy. Wait, when the beat drops. Okay. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, Joe. How are you? What's going on?
I'm doing very well. We had, guys, it might be the first time in the history, I could be wrong, where I am predicting that Just Between Us Girls is longer than the episode. We're going to see, because I can tell you, Just Between Us Girls went like 31, 32 minutes.
Yeah.
But they're really, and I didn't even hate this episode. Well,
that's good to know you didn't hate it.
Yeah, because actually, if I had hated it, I have a lot to say. Robert, I was talking to one Robert Mata earlier today, and he said he hadn't watched it yet. And I said, you know what? Honestly, and I'm again tipping my hand here. I go, it might be my favorite of the lip sync Lollapaloozas.
It was I thoroughly enjoyed the episode. Yeah, I thought you were talking about when you said you didn't hate it. I thought you meant Just Between Us Girls.
Oh, no, I hated that the entire time. Anyway, if you want to hear Just Between Us Girls, then you're going to want to go over to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia and join at the executive tier level and above, or you can scroll right up there on Apple and hit the button there and subscribe there. And I think actually what I'm going to do, because, Just Between Us Girls is going to end for a little bit soon. So I think what I might do is I might give the executive tier. If you guys are listening to the T, so let me give a plug for the T first.
Okay.
So the T is, again, and I hate to say this on my own show that I'm doing right now, it might be the favorite show that I do. Okay, sorry, Taylor. And
it's my favorite show on Afterthought.
Yeah.
So no offense taken.
Yeah. So, I just set the song in there. But yeah, so the T is my favorite show, and it's now in the public feed. I've been plugging this for a long time. The numbers are going up and up. People are listening. People are downloading. You can get it on Patreon, on Spotify. You can get it on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. You can get it everywhere. I think that you can get your podcast. I'm gonna put the links again. I didn't put them last time, but I will put the links again here. Literally, go listen to the T. I was telling a friend today because he was like, "Where should I start?" And I go, honestly, and this is my opinion. I would start at the first episode of any season. Pick a season, maybe the most recent season, and start with episode 1 because there's been a break, so you're not going to be missing out on any stories. All the stories are going to start from episode 1, and you won't be in the middle of any story or Jay's lawsuit that keeps going on forever or whatever. So,
oh my God, is that still going on?
There's updates, but I'm gonna say there's a new episode of the T coming.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
Yes, there's an update on the lawsuit. So anyway, how this is tied in is I still have to figure out on Patreon how I can offer it to you guys. If you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to the bonus folder over at patreon.com. So there's a folder that has all the bonus episodes collected. You already have access to that. I'm trying to find a way that we can give access to the public feed people as well. If you want to pay some, a few bucks, a few bones, and you have access to it too. But if you subscribe to Just Between Us Girls on Apple Podcasts, I'm going to start releasing those on there. So you will get them without having to subscribe to anything else. Mm-hmm. There we go. Those are the plugs. Taylor, let's get into this show. Not much to say here. This week, the Queens face off in an elimination bracket style competition to see who will reign supreme as the queen of lip syncs. In the end, Roxy Andrews went head-to-head with Chanel, and Roxy came out victorious. Taylor the Latte Boy, did the right person win the lip sync Lollapalooza SmackDown?
Yes, 100% yes. However, there was a tiny part of me that kind of wanted Chanel to win the whole thing.
She was your Megami?
I wanted her to, but she kind of was the Megami of this episode. Yeah. The one that nobody expected to really do anything, which, did the thing. And there was part of me, because they kept making such a big deal about the fact that Roxy has never been sent home by anybody. I was just like, wouldn't that be a bitch if the person who finally sent Roxy Andrews with her first loss would be Chanel? Yeah. But once it started, you kind of knew that was the case. But, that also, I've talked about this before years ago on another episode. I have great memories. I have a great fondness for that last lip sync song, because that was the song was the first episode of Drag Race Recap I was ever on. That was the lip sync for that week. Yeah. It was season 7. It was Jaden Dior Fierce versus Candy Ho. And Ariana Grande was the guest judge that night.
Did Jaden Dior Fierce work that puss?
Jaden Dior Fierce definitely worked that puss, and she was the one who finally sent Candy Ho home.
Oh, I legitimately, I'm not even joking, I would be the kind of person that would get into drag. I have no desire to do drag, but I would start doing drag, work my way up to eventually, I don't think it'd take that long, a couple of weeks in, get a gig where I'm working with Candy Ho, right? And then go, how old are you? I can't wait. I want to be there when that happens. Well, I'll be there because I'll be the one saying it.
Right.
And I'll be, how old are you? I can't wait to say that to her.
How old do you think Candy Ho is now?
Do you think this is something Siri knows?
You can try it.
Okay. How old is the drag queen Candy Ho?
I'll be so excited if it says it.
Well, it just gave me her Wikipedia article, and so I know when she was born.
Okay. When was she born?
1987. So we are coming up on.
She's coming up on 40. Yeah, the big 40. Yeah.
Oh, I count her birthday. I'm gonna find September 24th, 1987. So September 20. Hey Siri, remind me on September 24th, 2027 to text Candy Ho. How old are you? Because I feel like Tempest du Jour was she was over 40, but I think she was in her early 40s when that happened, right?
No, she was. I want to say she was close to 50.
Oh, she looked it.
Yeah, no. For some reason, I feel like she was 49 or something. She wasn't the old because the oldest queen was still Charlie
I gotta
Hides.
do this again. Hey Siri, how old is the drag queen Tempest de Jour? That one actually gave me her age. I think you're right. She's 56 now.
Well, because you figure that was so she was like in her mid to late 40s at that point.
Yeah.
But
You know what? That makes sense because I did see her recently, and she was stood in one place and wore sneakers the entire time. So, that's a guy that's a reference to Just Between Us Girls. And see, go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia, join the executive tier level about to get that. All right. So the right person won. I agree with you. The right person won. There was something that I really wanted Roxy to win. And so I was glad she won. Chanel sort of surprised me, even though still a lot of the lip syncs in the middle, I was like, this could go either way.
there were a couple of them that we disagreed on the couch. That
okay.
one of us said one and the other said no, it's the other, and I was right on all of them.
Oh,
so,
you were?
because
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there were a couple that I was like, ooh, well, this could go either way. And that's actually because, as I said earlier, I really liked it. I think I liked it because the matches, for the most part, except for that first one, were so even that I was like, they were all fairly done for the most part. And it with either different styles or whatever it was actually fun to watch. And actually, because the stakes were so low, it made it more fun. It wasn't so like, oh my god, that they have to like win this or they're gonna get eliminated or something. So it was good. All right, why don't we do this, Taylor? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, we are going to talk about the rest of the episode. We'll be back right after this. Okay, here we go. And we are back. Okay. After last week's lip sync, the girls walk into the workroom to decompress after the previous episode. Georges expresses surprise that Chanel gave her a badge. Chanel explains her logic, and Nina West in confessional questions her logic. Later, all the queens raise their hands when asked whether they believe they can still win the title. The next day, the girls look back on what has happened to predict what will happen next. Georges reveals that she had a wet dream about Vanjie involving a water hose. Vanjie and Roxy reveal that they had a text message flirtation but never hooked up, and that happened just before RuPaul entered the workroom to announce this week's Maxi Challenge. For this week's Maxi Challenge, it's a lip sync Lollapalooza. The top 2 All-Stars will receive a benefactress badge and then lip sync for a chance to win $10,000 for their charity. I'm just going to go through to the workroom, Taylor, because that's the whole. Then it's the lip sync Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
In the workroom, the girls discuss how they think they'll perform in the lip sync SmackDown. Gottmik thought the term was lip singing and talked about how she never lip synced on her season. Vanjie's ready to perform. Nina loves to lip sync, though she hasn't been successful this season. Chanel posits that one doesn't have to do backflips or choreography to do well, and Nina accidentally predicts how the whole thing will shake down. Roxy reveals her favorite lip sync. Georges accuses Angeria of blocking girls. Oh, then why don't we do this? Roxy reveals her favorite lip sync, and finally, Georges accuses Angeria of blocking girls while lip syncing. All right, Taylor, we'll take it in little chapters here. Let's first start talking about everything that happened after last week's lip sync. Were there any big moments during that decompression that stuck out to you?
I think the question of giving each other the badges, and particularly Nina's response to it. I'm going through now and I'm catching up on our episodes, just kind of listening to old episodes. And you've brought up repeatedly how Nina probably lays in bed at night wishing she had given that pin early on to Chanel.
Yeah.
because I think this is a situation in which, they even said, we figured you would have given it to Nina kind of thing. So I think this is one where Nina with this, where she was like, no, why would you give the girl that's already got 3 another one? Makes sense, but there's a little bit of sour grapes in that.
Yeah, I think she's kind of ridiculous. She should have never given an opinion on who should give away badge. She gave her badge away to the front runner.
Right.
Which I think on a short term strategy, I think she was thinking she will be the front runner, so she will remember me and do favors for me. I think because I think she knew, or they knew, or something about a fashion thing happening, and she wanted Roxy.
No, because Roxy helped her with her dress. That's why she gave her the pin.
Oh, yeah. You see, that was a big mistake.
Yeah, huge.
So yeah, and I think she knows she made a big mistake. Any other thoughts
on that section?
Yeah.
No, that's kind of the only thing that I really remember from that particular section.
By the way, so at one point, Angeria is like, so who here thinks they can still win? And everybody raised their hand. And I was like, everyone thinks they can still win? Chanel? Vanjie? They still think, oh, I've got this?
Well, Chanel in particular just came off of 2 wins basically in the same day. I mean, so she was probably riding that a little bit. But also, had Rue said last week that it's still anybody's game? Like there are things coming up that, or was that did she say that for the first time this morning?
No, I think she did say it last episode, and they're talking about that, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense. Plus, you're not going to be the only bitch in the room who doesn't raise their hand.
I would, but I think they also realize, though, if there is a fighting chance, then that fighting chance, you can't seem to the producers, if they know who the producers want, you can't seem to the producers like, oh, I've given up, because then you really won't have a chance. Yeah. Right. So anyway. All right. Well, what about the next day when they walked in? They have not a lengthy conversation, but they do have a conversation about the badges, about the wet dreams, about Roxy and Vanjie. Any thoughts there?
Well, I feel like the conversation at first about, well, we've done Snatch Game, we've done a ball, we've done this, we've done that, we don't know what's coming next. That almost feels kind of like where they listen to the show. It almost sounds like conversations that you and I have had, or that you've had with your other hosts, as far as what's left that they could possibly do over the course of the rest of the season. So it's funny to hear the actual contestants talking like, or that we're talking like the contestants talk privately, as far as what could be the next thing that's coming up. I love that none of them necessarily thought of Lollapalooza, because, I mean, really, there hasn't really been. Well, were any of them in any of the Lollapaloozas? Because that was 15 and 16, I think.
I know Gottmik said she wasn't in one.
Okay, and she was 14. So yeah, none of them. They wouldn't necessarily go to that as one. But this is one of my favorite episodes of the season.
But hold on,
in the seasons that they've done it.
Wasn't she on the season with Candy Muse?
Yeah.
And didn't they open up that season with a lip sync Lollapalooza?
Kind of, but it wasn't. It was just everybody kind of went against the other person who came into the workroom with them.
Yeah.
It's slightly different. And it wasn't like people then got, there were, there wasn't 8 and then 4, then 2, then 1. It was just sort of half and half, as far as the Pork Chop Lounge and the A team, or whatever they call themselves. That I thought was a little bit interesting to hear them all having that conversation. The conversation about Vanjie and Roxy and the wet dream and all of that kind of stuff was, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean, you figure they've all been there how long at this point?
Well, it wasn't a sex dream, right? What had to do with we got sprayed with a water hose or something?
Well, I mean, paging Dr. Freud. I mean, there's a chance that probably that meant something else. But either way, it turned into a conversation about Roxy and Vanjie, sending each other dirty texts every once in a while.
That was a little surprising to me. And this, I know you find Roxy attractive and whatnot, but that's from just history. Roxy doesn't seem like Vanjie's type, but I guess maybe she is. Who knows whose type is who is?
Well, and this was also years ago. I don't find Roxy attractive now. I thought Roxy was cute on season 5.
Mm, oh, that's true. I've seen some of the guys that you like.
Hey, I can't help it. I like guys with new teeth. What can I say? New bright white teeth, fresh out of the box.
Everybody on this season has the whitest teeth you've ever seen in your entire life. I would do like I'm gonna whiten my teeth now, but I'm telling you right now, you'll barely notice because I would just go like, I just want it to be like not Margot Kidder towards the end, you know? Like,
wow, that is a reference.
yeah, I had to make obscure references like that. So I'm not even sure she had yellow teeth. If I was just trying to think of someone someone from the '80s that smoked.
I have somebody who strikes me. The first person that popped in my head for some reason is Meredith Baxter Burney.
Oh, she would be a good.
I just feel like she always had those little like smoker's lines around her lips,
Yeah.
like where she just sort of had that, where she was sort of that thin-lipped that
or
had
like
that.
Lauren Bacall's dentures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lauren Bacall.
Oh. All right. I have notes here that this one let's interpret. Let's rework my notes here from the back.
Okay.
Guys, they are given the list of songs to lip sync to. They know a SmackDown is coming. Were they speculating what the challenge may be?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I know from listening to Race Chaser and from listening to other queens in interviews and stuff is they give them a ton of songs on the little iPods, on the little shuffles. So, and there apparently are songs that have basically been on there since like season 2 that they've just never used.
Oh,
so I think that may be part of it. That way they don't know what song is coming up.
Yeah.
And that they can sort of like they talked about with last year's All-Stars where they can kind of switch people around if they need to.
Then I have a note here that says, Nina, you gave away your badge to Roxy. I don't know what that means.
Well, that was when she was complaining about the fact that...
No, but this is the next day.
I don't know. Then I don't know, but it makes sense just given what we talked about after the
I will watch
show.
it before Rulaska Thoughts. Rulaska Thoughts have an explanation for what that note meant. Okay. But now it is time for the lip sync Lollapalooza SmackDown for the crown. Before we get to the actual lip syncs, did you have any notes or thoughts about anything that happened on the main stage, introductions, or anything that, because this is going to be a short ass episode.
The fuck was Nina wearing?
Well, look, and this is funny that Roxy and Chanel have been sort of labeled like the old timey pageant queens. They both did this thing. And I will try and take a picture where I mimic it again. But they had the little avatars they would show like versus who and who versus whom. And everybody else had something, but they had that like 80s pageant queen, like far away. Both Roxy and Chanel did look where they're like, I'm gonna try and do it right here in front of you. Hold on.
Yes. Wistfully looking off into the distance.
Yes. And so it's funny because Roxy, I feel, sort of straddles the line between maybe that's why she is so successful with her lip syncs. She can pull that old pageant style lip syncing, but she can also give you a flair for the new, or if that language worked there, but a taste of the new. She kind of straddles it in between.
Yeah.
Chanel is basically doing a 1980s drag tribute act.
Abso-fucking-lutely. And I am here for it.
No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I feel that outfit was very like power bitch drag outfit from the 80s.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. She was Esme Russell in Tampa at Tampa Tracks singing Celine Dion, lip syncing to Celine Dion in 1994. She was all of the queens that I grew up watching.
But why do you think drag queens from that era? Because there's that I just talked about this drag queen, funnily enough. But there's this drag queen based in LA. She just posted something with her and Raja. But I think all the old school drag queens know her. Her name is Jules. She's from Long Beach. And she's in that very Chanel vein too. She's still there as well. So what is it that these drag queens, who are they embodying here? You know, like what cisgendered female celebrity or model are they like pulling from?
I think they're pulling from all of the 80s bitchy Joan Collins, Crystal Evans, I almost said Pamela Anderson, but what's the one that was on Dallas? Shit. I get, like Donna Mills, like her makeup is very like Knots Landing 1987, the way
They
that
all
Chanel does her
have
hair.
that like harsh. It's almost like a Nagel painting, you know, like
Yes. That was the style in the 80s of makeup, and everything was very in the 80s, everything was very severe. It was severe with these weird off it like kind of soft on the edges, but the most of it was super hard.
like Brigitte
So and
Nielsen.
Brigitte Nielsen, exactly, another one. And it was all about the drama. It was all about, because you figure all of those, I'm using soap operas as in particular, but when you think about those shows, it was all about crazy camp, hagsploitation of just these women that are just done up with the big shoulder pads and the big tits and the big hair, and just everything is just like everything is borderline hysterical.
That was my fault. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll take it out.
No.
Of me.
It was just it makes sense that Chanel, if Chanel's been doing this for over 30 years or almost 30 years, that's what little Chanel grew up watching. Whereas you have that the newer group of girls grew up watching, other things that were grew up like, the girls now, or that were maybe like Roxy's age, they grew up watching like 90s shows. So that's all like, the Friends or the Dawson's Creek. So that's why you kind of see that the girls from that era, it goes a little softer in the makeup. I mean, it's still drag makeup, but it goes a little bit softer with that. So I think it is really kind of whatever is going on in the world around a drag queen when they decide to come out and start this career, start this path. It's almost like the way you hear that you stop really listening to new music at like a certain age, something like 24 or something like that. And then everything from like 14 to 24, like that is your music. And that is the music that you always listen to no matter what. I'm getting the numbers wrong, but it's something like that. I think that drag may actually be like that a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. And, ultimately with Chanel, it pays for her Christmas house. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. So going back to that, you had a comment about what she wore. You liked it or didn't like it?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It looked like something that would have come out on the 8-foot by 5-foot stage that I was standing at with my raspberry lifesaver drink, waiting for her to come out and sing. What's the song that she would have come out at that time and done? The song, oh God, what the hell's the name of that song? A Taylor Dane song. I can't remember the one that she would have done, but
what is that song?
Well, no, you're probably not thinking of the one I am. There's a song that was actually done by the guy who wrote "Holding Out for a Hero" that Taylor Dane did for the Shadow soundtrack, the Alec Baldwin superhero movie. It's exactly like "Holding Out for a Hero," but it's Taylor Dane singing, and it's one of those songs that Rodan, my co-host on my show, and I, whenever we're talking about that era, we always bring up that song because it was just so ridiculously over the top.
Well, I brought this up before, but I have a cousin who would make us sit there and watch him lip sync to what's her name again?
Anita Baker.
Anita Baker. So I always, even though he wasn't a drag queen, it was giving drag queen. So I always think of a drag queen coming out and singing, what's that song called?
Caught Up in the Rapture.
Yeah, Caught Up in the Rapture. And yes. So, we would be like 11 years old playing outside. We'd have to come in, everyone come in, give my performance. And then he'd put this song on, and we would have to sit there and watch him do
Did he explain what he was doing, or he would just hit play and then suddenly start?
Yeah, just or sometimes it would be it'd be Anita Baker, and then it was really really crazy.
Possibly
All right,
Vanessa Williams talking about what we talked about before on
I just
Just
remember
Between Us
and
Girls.
I just remember Anita Baker because I just remember the ba-da-ba-ya. What's funny is I hated that song, and now because of that memory, it holds such a special place in my heart. Um,
That is a very that is a joyous memory. Just you sharing that definitely is something where it kind of makes me smile just thinking about
I've
watching that.
been seeing her, and she's been doing like things where she like bails out on shows at the last minute. Have you seen this? And people go,
Anita Baker, where she yells at people that are videoing her,
yeah,
taping her with her
yeah, she's
camera,
going crazy.
but she's still singing.
Yeah,
She's singing like put the fucking camera down.
yeah, it's kind of iconic. I'm not gonna lie, but it also makes me wonder about all those other singers. I don't know why this person reminds me of her, but whatever happened to her, I think she's a one-hit wonder. Who's the one that sang the "I could reach you by mail"? She lists all
Oh,
the different ways of transportation.
Olita Adams.
Alita Adams. What happened to her? What does she do now?
I think she was a gospel artist. So she
Oh,
might have gone the gospel route. I just remember, I think the reason that song was so big, that's a song that Chanel, I'm sure Chanel has lip synced in Vegas at some point. But I just remember that song came out during Desert Storm,
okay.
Operation Desert Storm. So they would
Oh,
overlay voicemails of people that were like calling their soldier fathers, sons, brothers, all that kind of stuff, or the ones who are saying, "This is Sergeant Taylor, the Latte Boy from the 507th Division, calling from Kuwait from a family." Like they would do that on the local radio
yeah.
stations, and I hated that. They did that with that song, and they did that with a George Michael song too. That was on his second album. That I hate because I loved that song, and as soon as they did the whole "this is click," I would just turn it off.
You think when that's any song like that, whether it's that song or I'll tell you a different song in a second, I become obsessed with those songs because then I start thinking like because on that song it's like the whole thing is I don't care how you get there, just get there if you can. And she names all these different ways of transportation. So then I start to think, like, is there like, does she do like, you can reach me by hot air balloon, masturbate as I watch you go, something like, so there's that, and then what other song I would love? I think Kristen Wiig's already done something like this on SNL, but the song of is it called the Ballad of Billy Joe?
That sounds right.
The one where
Ode
like
to Billy Joe.
Ode to Billy Joe might be
Yeah.
right. The one is it Ode to Billy Joe? Oh my god. The one that's like she's describing like basically she's telling a story in this song about like they saw something throw something off the Tallahatchie Bridge.
Oh
Oh, you don't know this one? Oh, this song is
no.
very dark. So
Okay. So all right. I'm sorry because I've got a
no, no.
song like that too, but I'll let you say your
But
piece.
but the I can't play it because we're on YouTube. But Ode to Billy Joe, if you listen to it, it's like wait, hold on. I'm gonna take this part out because I just have to listen on here just to get the rhythm. But I think Kristen Wiig has made fun of this song. Ode to Billy Joe. Yeah, that is the song.
Who sang it?
Bobby Gentry. Oh yeah, okay. I gotta stop right there. But it goes the whole song it never changes, right? But
Uh
she's
huh.
like literally going through everything. She goes like, I was walking in the kitchen and my dad turned and looked at me. And then it goes on. Then he walked into the corner and saw a piece of pie he wanted, and the whole thing. So it's just like the song doesn't stop going. But the point is, Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And there's a big weird mystery that she's never spoken about it,
Uh
where a
huh.
preacher comes over and because they're all talking about it in the house. It takes place
Uh
in the
huh.
house. And he's like, oh, didn't I see you and Billy Joe McAllister throwing something off the Tallahatchie Bridge right before he died? And so people have been like, well, what? There was even a movie with Robbie Benson, right?
Okay.
About this song. But I think, is it the movie? No, I think in the movie, Robbie Benson says he's gay and kills himself or something like that, right? Um, but I think there's some speculation that it was an aborted baby. Like there's all
Oh.
kinds of weird speculation. Thank you.
Well, so right now, this time of year, we in this house, even though too much to my husband's disdain, I love yacht rock. Like there's a
Oh,
yacht
wow.
rock channel on Sirius that is just, oh my God, it's just chef's kiss perfection. Have you ever heard the song Wildfire? She's
the one with the
yelling
horse?
wildfire. Yes, that the horse and the girl goes out into the cold night and dies.
Yes.
I've listened to that song since I was a kid, and I was sitting with a friend of mine, and she's like, the song's about a dead girl, right? And I'm like, no, it's not. It's about a horse. And then she's like, yeah, she goes looking for the horse, and she freezes to death. So
Yeah,
weird songs like that.
yeah, there are songs that are like that where you're like, yes. And I'm sure you know what? Leave a comment on Discord or on the podcast or wherever about other songs that are like that. I know there's famous ones, like the stupid one about the all the kids with their kicks or whatever, better run,
Oh.
school shooting. And then there's the
Yeah.
Semi-Charm Kind of Life is about meth. But like I'm talking about one that yeah, go ahead.
That tell like a story, like Fancy. Fancy is one that
yeah.
tells a story. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. That's another one that tells a whole story. I love that song. I can't believe they've never done that song on here. Of course, because they edited, they cut it in clips. It wouldn't make any sense. But
yeah, they probably couldn't do it. Yeah. Can it tell I'm stretching? Is that obvious?
yes.
Okay.
But it's a fun conversation. I love conversations like this.
Yeah, I wish there was a world where we could have played these songs. I would analyze the fuck out of. I love analyzing songs that make no fuck. You know what I did? Again, a Patreon plug. I believe there's an episode where Jay Ellis and I think it's me and Jay Ellis. We definitely analyzed Read You Wrote You, but I think we also analyzed, where did I do this? The song Skater Boy. But
I was just going to say, you did Skater Boy. I want to say that was you and Lori.
Oh,
I don't think that was you and Jay. Yeah.
Okay. I know
you and I did Read You Wrote You.
No, I did a whole series with Jay about it.
About the song?
About the song. I think.
I am almost positive you and I did an episode where we talked, or when we reviewed All Stars 2, we might have done that.
Oh,
of course, Daniel was still there. I can't imagine Daniel being a part of that. I don't know.
So let's go to the first song.
Okay.
Lip sync number 1. Gottmik's name gets chosen by Bruno. And she chooses strangely to go up against Angeria. I don't know what the fuck logic that was.
It made absolutely no sense. We gasped when she said the name. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
But
it was insane. And of course, Angeria then chooses My Lovin' by En Vogue. Great song. And actually, it was so stupid. A perfect song for Angeria. I mean, Gottmik really fucked herself over.
Yes.
It's like from the first moment that song, the first note played, you're like, well, Angeria has this.
Yep.
Yeah, and Angeria won.
There were a couple of them that the second their lips started moving, I'm like, oh, they won. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Angeria, she even said, she goes, I do this song. This is in my rotation. So she was able to do it without even thinking about it, whereas Gottmik is, I understand that Gottmik's won a couple of times, but that's going up against, Nina. I just don't think she's a very good lip syncer. And by the end of it, I think she just decided, if I just roll around on the ground and show my ass, that'll be what takes me over the top.
But that's every Gottmik lip sync. And
yes.
And it's not just Gottmik. There are other queens. Plastique's not too different, if I'm being honest with you. Mm-hmm. Where it doesn't matter what the song is, they're gonna make it sexy. It could be literally the theme from Green Acres, and they're gonna sit there and roll around the floor and stick their ass up in the air. And
it could be Wildfire.
It could be Wildfire. It could be the Ode to Billy Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Can you pass the biscuits, please? And they are putting their butt in the air when they sing this, which actually would be kind of iconic if they did do that, and that's the interpretation you did.
Yes.
All right, then lip sync number 2, Vanjie's name gets chosen, and she chooses, and I think this was a very fair fight, to go up against Plastique. Plastique chooses, unsurprisingly, the song When I Grow Up by the Pussycat Dolls. This was the first one for me where I was like, I have no idea who's going to win this.
This was the one that we disagreed on
Oh,
because Babalu thought it was going to be Plastique, and I said no, it's Vanjie, and he was like, but she was doing all of those moves and patting her pussy and everything. I said yes, but once again, she didn't know the words. There were times that she was purposely avoiding the face so that Rue couldn't see it, so she didn't know the words. Whereas Vanjie just gave face the entire time. Vanjie, like she was locked on, and I think that with the attitude and the bounce in the hair and everything, that was. Which of them did I enjoy more? I enjoyed Plastique more than Vanjie, but that was a deserved win from Vanjie in that she did the assignment. She knew the words and she gave the attitude with that song as well.
Coward of the County by Kenny Rogers is another one of those weird story songs.
The Gambler by Kenny Rogers is another great one.
He has a lot of story songs. Coward of the County. So does Jim Croce. Jim Croce has which is not too different from. There were a lot of songs. There were a lot of songs in the 70s that were folky, but about beating the shit out of people. So
yes,
Coward of the County. Then you have don't go. What you don't spin and zip a dead twin. You don't go the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Yeah.
Big mean Leroy Brown.
Oh, big
mean Leroy Brown. Yeah.
You're beating the shit out of people.
Right. At 17 by Janice Ian.
Oh, that one. I'll be honest with you. She was very young when she wrote that. That song is fucking dumb. If you want to to me at least, if you just want to end your life because you're so fucking ugly, no one will talk to you.
Uh-huh.
I think she wrote that song when she was a teenager. And like, it's so dark and deep, that song. And like how she had that perspective as like a teenager when she wrote that song.
Yeah.
And of course, she's lesbian now.
Well, yeah, I think that's part of it. But Don't Cry Out Loud.
Oh, what's that about?
Don't Cry Out Loud is about a girl who fucks a carny and then he leaves. Oh, God. Baby cried the day the circus came to town. If you listen to, that's one of those that I have like sang that song for years. And then when like I was in the shower one time and it was on and I was listening to the words and I'm like, she fucked a carny. That was the whole idea of that. It's a pretty song.
Wait, then the first 3 lines. It says, baby cried the day the circus came to town because she didn't want parades just passing by her. So she painted on a smile and took up, well, do you think it's a metaphor here? Took up with some clown?
I like to think she fucked a carny.
I think it's open for interpretation.
Well, in my head, I interpret it as
I want to interpret it.
She went behind the tilt-a-whirl at some point during the state fair and got a little. But to answer your question, Vanjie won that lip sync.
Yeah, okay. It was look, I agree with you, but I mean, in other words, your opinion. It was very close for me though. But I never know. People always bring up Plastique not knowing the words. I will say she fools me. I'm always like, oh, you're right, she doesn't. All right, lip sync number 3 is Nina West versus Chanel. Now this is just like an 80s pageant decided to do like, and Chanel chose, unsurprisingly, "You Spin Me Round" by Dead or Alive.
Right.
Again, I had that one was a toss-up. It could have been Nina or Chanel.
No,
really?
We said after it was over, this was the closest thing to a murder.
Oh, really? I can watch it again.
The second, because again, you're talking about locking in with the judges. The second Chanel got with those bright blue eyes with all of that crazy smoky dark mascara and kind of put that hand out, that very Maleficent evil queen with the long red nails, and did that, it was over. It was done. There was just, and even doing like the 80s dance move where she was kind of like moving her hip and snapping her finger at one point and everything about it was just so, you felt like you were in a gay bar in the 80s. Yeah. It was just wonderful. And then, I mean, Nina did an okay job, but it was almost whenever they showed Nina, I almost wanted the camera to just, okay, great. Go back to Chanel sort of thing. Yeah. So I was super pleased for her in that, because it was so wonderful old school drag that we don't really get to see as much of anymore.
All right, next we have lip sync number 4, Georges versus Roxy. Roxy got to choose, and she chose a great song, "Holding Out for a Hero" by Bonnie Tyler, because, as she told us, that was what her drag grandmother sang for some competition, and then her drag mother Erica Andrews, also used to sing in tribute to her. And now I guess Erica Andrews has passed as well, so like
Yeah.
Roxy was doing a tribute to them. And after I watched this, I even wrote, "Is there a better lip syncer?" And I know people will bring up Sasha Colby or whatever, but is there a better lip syncer all around on Drag Race than Roxy Andrews?
I well, I mean, the her record speaks for itself, but I think that would be tough. I can't think of anybody else that maybe that I would love to see a Sasha versus Roxy lip sync off, but actually, I almost don't want to because neither one of them have lost one, so I kind of don't want one of them to get get a record. But that was another one that the second I mean, even walking back to the back of the stage, I was like, she's got this. She's got this. There's no, they were talking about don't take off your wigs when they were talking. And I was like, is this the one where the wig falls off? Like, I was worried for a split second about that when she was doing that, throwing her hair back. But once Georges was singing, like where she was all like happy and smiling and doing that sort of stuff, which that's not what that song is. That song is like longing. That song is just like reaching out for somebody. And Georges is doing all of her shablams and all of that kind of stuff. The vibe didn't match with the song. And given what Roxy said at the beginning, as far as with her, drag mother and drag grandmother, you couldn't not root for Roxy in that moment. I mean, that would have been a really shitty thing if they showed that and then she lost the lip sync. But it was an incredible. It was a phrase that was used with somebody else earlier this season. It was a tour de force performance. I thought.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah, possibly one of my new favorite lip syncs of all time.
Oh, this one right here, Roxy versus Georges.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, just because you could feel her wanting to make her drag family proud. So then I feel like we couldn't help but you can't help but not root for her in that. Even if you're not a Roxy fan, I was genuinely happy for her. And I also thought it was nice at the, where she kind of told the story to Rue and all of that sort of thing. And Rue was like, they're looking down on you right now. They're here with you. They're all that kind of stuff. I thought that was a nice moment between the two of them. I'm sorry. I just Rogan camped you. I talked for like 5 minutes straight.
No, but you're killing time for me. I'm like this. I'm just glad we made it past half an hour. Okay, so now we done with the first round. We have round 2 now. There's 4 people left. There's Vanjie, Chanel, Roxy, and Angeria. They pull the ball from the cage, and Vanjie's name comes up. And she chooses to go against Chanel. Good choice. Okay. And Chanel chooses "I'm Every Woman" by Chaka Khan, which is, to me, like, I can't believe, that's the song I feel like Chanel would pick,
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed this lip sync more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it was, again, get the camera off of Angie. I want to watch Chanel in this. I thought that Chanel, I mean, again, this is one of these that Chanel has been doing this song at drag brunches since 1987. I mean, before the song came on the Bodyguard soundtrack, and only certain people knew this song. It was. This is really the one where she did a lot with the hands. They talked in Untucked a lot about like her handography and just the movement of the fingers, and how it is very much the way that she performs is she kind of is like casting a spell and like bringing you in, which goes along with this song, I thought. And Vanjie, while a great performer, again, this is sort of similar to me for what Georges was, of where her vibe didn't necessarily match with the song the way that Chanel's did. So that is why I thought from the beginning Chanel had. And this was another one where Babalu was like, "Oh, Vanjie won that." I'm like, no, that was Chanel again.
It was too close for comfort. I see your point, but I also see why Babalu thought Vanjie too. just maybe not even from a quality of the lip sync. Because I'll be honest with you. Let's go to the next one. It's Roxy versus Angeria. And they do Groove is in the Heart by D-Light. It's the only one left.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things. I have to say this because it should be noted that this song is really important in the development of RuPaul. She's talked about this in her show before. But RuPaul moved in the same circles as the people in D-Light. And
Right.
when this song became a hit, she was like, well, fuck that. I'm better than they are. And that's when she decided to really pursue and making the song Supermodel and whatnot. And
Yeah.
because she was like, well, how come they have a hit and I don't? It sort of spurred the fire in her. So this is a very important song in the development of RuPaul. But I felt Angeria captured the feel of the song more than Roxy did. I think Roxy did a great job, but I feel Angeria captured whatever. I don't know who the girl is in D-Light.
Lady Miss Kier. Why do I know
I
that?
don't know.
Lady Miss
Is she still
Kier.
with us?
Oh yeah, she's still around.
But really captured her feel. I feel more than Roxy did. But that's not necessarily what a lip sync is at all. It's not meant to capture who the person is, but like that can help. What did you think of this lip sync?
I again, I thought it was Roxy. I definitely, maybe I was still riding the emotional high of the last one for her, but it felt to me like Angeria was getting the goofiness of the song, because it is sort of a goofy song,
It's a very goofy song.
but there was something very awkward about the way that she was dancing and everything to it that didn't feel necessarily like it was a controlled awkwardness.
Okay.
It just sort of felt like she was kind of doing like, crazy, blah, 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 blah sort of things. And whereas Roxy seemed to have everything like, I know what I'm going to do for this. I know what I'm going to do for this. I know what I'm going to do for this. And Roxy knew all the words. There were times that Angeria, especially during the rap, didn't know the words.
Oh.
Whereas if you watch Roxy, I think Roxy screws up like once during it, but for the most part, she gets all the way through the song.
There were a bunch of songs in the late 80s. Is this an 80s song or a 90s song?
Like 1990. It was
There were a bunch of songs in that era that were like silly and they were huge hits, like this. And you have "Don't Worry, Be Happy," and you have what was the one with Chevy Chase and Paul Simon?
You Can Call Me Al.
Paul Simon, yeah. You Can Call Me Al.
Yeah, Love Shack.
And "Love Shack" is another one that they were big hits and they were kind of like silly songs.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. my contribution to this show. And then Roxy wins that one. So the final is Roxy versus Chanel. It's pageant versus pageant. However, I kind of wish it would have been a song more indicative of both of their styles. But they do "Break Free" by Ariana Grande, which is a great song.
Yeah.
I think look, even before this happened, I really felt Roxy versus Angeria was really the final.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
think of this final lip sync?
following the trajectory of the last lip sync, Lollapalooza, where at that point, even though we were all cheering for Megami to get as far as she did, we knew she was going to face Morphine Love Dion. And then that was just going to be like, okay, well, you had a good run. That was your redemption story of that you did that, but Morphine's going to. And this, I think, was similar. We were excited for Chanel to get as far as she did. Like, who would have thought the lip sync Lollapalooza would have been Roxy versus Chanel? But
True.
it would have had to be something completely out of left field for Chanel, I think, to get it versus Roxy. I forgot your question. I'm sorry. I kind of went off on a tangent. And
I don't know. There was a question. Maybe there was.
okay. I mean, this lip sync was, I agree with you that it would have been great to see something that was a little more old school as the song. When Rue said, prepare for "Break Free" by Ariana Grande, I kind of went, oh, like you wanted it to be a Taylor Dane song or even like an old Whitney Houston song or something like that would have been just of that.
If you were the music licensing person, what would be the song that you would fight for the most to be the song? Let me see if I can think of mine.
It's a song that we've actually already that they've already done that I think you said should have been a song that one of the songs that, oh, I know. And actually I know one that you picked that would have been perfect for the two of them to do.
What?
And it's one of the ones that you have picked that you said that they should do on the show sometime.
The only one I can think of that I'm really why I haven't. Well, there might be a million reasons why, but I would love to see on the show. One of them is "No More Tears."
That's it. That's the song.
Oh, really? That would have.
Can you imagine Chanel and Roxy Ann? They would have had to do a tie. Like, there's no other way around that. I mean, talk about two just completely different styles of lip syncing, but
those
they
are two different
but they
styles of
both
singing.
two different styles of singing, but they both work.
Yeah.
Like both of them, like you could see Roxy doing the Donna Summer part and Chanel doing the Streisand part, and it working. I mean, I know they have to lip sync the whole song, but that would have been killer.
I'm trying to think if there's a. That's a good one. What do you think? What do you think of? God, I had one, but now that one beat it. All right, well that'll have to be it. If I think of another one, people, please hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter, all at Joe Batanz. Hit me up at Joe Batanz at Patreon. Joe Batanz at Afterthought.media. Do it in the comments on YouTube. Do it in the comments anywhere, and I won't see the comments everywhere. Just hit me up in those places. And if you have a song that you think I want to hear what they are, thank you. All right, Taylor. Any other final thoughts? So then Roxy wins the whole thing, but Roxy and Chanel do win their benefactress badges, and that's the episode. And everyone was very happy. Do you have any big thoughts on this episode?
This was the best episode of Untucked, I think, this season. Yeah, it was actually pretty good because it was really just all of them sitting around geeking, especially, because again, there was no stakes. There was nobody worried about going home or anything like that. They already knew that the top two that were getting their badges. So when they came in, the Untucked episode kind of was from the time that Roxy and Chanel came back into the workroom, and they all just sat around and talked. And they talked about old style drag, and they talked about how much they all appreciate each other's style of drag. It was a little bit of like sucking each other's dick, but there was something about it that particularly Roxy and Chanel definitely got their flowers as far as everybody talking about how their styles are so amazing and the inspiration that they get from these two drag, legends. So it was a good episode compared to some of the other ones where, the brothers Osborne come in and talk about shit for 10 minutes.
I can't even imagine having to sit through that. I can't believe you did. Any other thoughts, Taylor?
No, it was a good episode. It was a good episode.
I agree with you. I think it was a good episode. I wish I would have seen it at a bar. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss. As we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars Season 9. So for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
I'm not going to play the outro because I need to make a new outro for the new expensive tier people.
Okay.
I forgot to do that. Update the list. Before we log off, any big comments on YouTube that we need to know about, or anyone said anything?
No. Everybody. We had a bunch of people in here. I don't know how many people are still here, if anybody. If you're still here in the chat room, say hi, please, if you can. And
we are on a delay.
Yeah, I know that we're on a slight delay, but I'm not sure how many people would have said anything. I'm not sure why. Okay, Mike Yeager is still here. Hi, Mike.
That's it.
And Mike Yeager is still here. Mike, thank you so much for listening.
SDC is going to be here next week. I'm going to try and see her while she's here.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that she was in, and I'm not familiar with.
She was in the room.
She was in the room. Pavi Anch was in the room.
Yeah, Pavi Anch, yeah.
And Lat W, Lattw, and
Lat W.
Angel El Elegante del Ring was in the room.
Okay.
They did a waving hand. That was all they kind of did. And Danny Donahue
Danny
So-
Bravo. People on hello. A lot of these people I've never heard of before. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't talk much, but nice to see you. Nice to see some new names, fresh faces.
Yeah.
Way to go. All right.
All
Well,
right.
Taylor. Well, Taylor, you can stick around. But guys, we will talk to you guys later. As soon as I press stop on this feed, it's done. So Taylor and I will still be here. We're talking. We're gonna talk shit about all you guys, actually.
Clearly.
Oh, especially Angel Acevedo.
Ricardo Garcia says hi.
Oh, hi, Ricardo Garcia. All right, bye, everybody.